Biden has already put together a team to come up with options in case Roe versus Wade is overturned, including declaring a national public health emergency. Now, Stu, gosh, don't you wish there was someone that could have warned the American people that this administration is just going to start issuing national emergencies?
It might be a time to remind people to subscribe to Blaze TV at blazetv.com/Glenn with the promo code Glenn to save $10.
Oh, yeah. All right. Okay, so here's what it is. In case they overturn Roe versus Wade, the intent of the Biden administration is to make sure the FDA approves abortion pills that would override any state bans on abortion. So you could buy the pills, they'll send them to you, and that way you'll be able to roll around in pain on the floor of your bathroom, and it'll be wonderful. See, they care about women. The abortion team is overseen by the White House lawyer Dana Remus. She's the director of the White House Gender Policy Council. Now, can I ask you this? The United States has an entire council on gender in the White House. I mean, that seems like something that, maybe the White House shouldn't be engaged in, with a whole council. Do they have an office? Is there like a wing now, a gender wing?
It really is a disturbing chain of events here. I really thought that this was simple. There really was a time, and it wasn't that long ago, that it was pretty easy to figure out there was a boy, there was a girl. We kind of all understood. There was the men are from Mars and women are from Venus thing. Like, how many planets would you need now to put this together?
Oh, you'd only need one because there's no difference between any of them.
Oh.
And we can't identify anybody. So it's just kind of like the Grand Central Planet, whatever planet that is. And I think we've actually been transported to that planet, Stu, because I don't recognize this as the Earth I grew up on. So Dana Remus is part of it. She's the Gender Policy Council. Also, Jennifer Klein, she's the director of the Domestic Policy Council, led by Susan Rice, which I just love that. Now, one of the plans under consideration is to bring abortion doctors to work on U.S. military bases within states that ban abortion. So not only is your government, remember, we will never pay for abortion. That's crazy taxpayer dollars going. Now our military base will be an abortion center. I got to tell you, at some point, I stopped paying taxes. I don't know what that point is because I really don't want to go to jail. But at some point, you will be morally convicted for this. Wouldn't you? I mean, you want your tax dollars going to pay for a military that is also performing abortions against the law?
Look, I agree with you on it being morally offensive, though I will say if I adopt that standard, I'm going to have to break in to the IRS offices and reclaim a lot of tax dollars that I did not feel morally that were acceptably paid. It's tough. You go down these roads and it's like, I don't stand for a lot of the stuff that my taxes go to. In fact, I don't stand at all even for the tax itself. I consider it to be essentially theft. And the first thing I would love them to do is go and repeal the 16th Amendment to get rid of it forever.
Yeah.
But that being said, I don't know that that's not really.
I think there's a federal case to be made. I mean, I really do. I mean, I'm not one to go, I'm not paying my taxes out of protest, because I know what would happen to me. Right. I would be in a very, very dark cell and never heard from again. So, but I also believe that rule of law. But is there not a case to be made that you said, first of all, my tax dollars won't go to pay for abortion. Now you're using the military to break the law that the Supreme Court just said the states have the right. You're using the military to do it? Anyway, they're also looking to providing federal funds to give travel expenses to those who want an abortion. So they don't do it at the military base. They'll just say, you know what? Guess who has a free trip to New York abortion clinics? You do, and you do, and you do. So that's really good. By the way, he talked about this with Jimmy Kimmel. He said, I'm looking at different things that can be used as executive orders. This goes back to the show we just did this last week. FDR is the most executive orders will. I think he's in the end. No, because he had 4 terms. But he's going to be close to FDR on executive orders. He's ruling everything from the executive office. Everything.
Yeah, that was his big goal, right? To try to become the next FDR. And that was his big goal behind the scenes. Yep. His advisors were talking him into it. Be bold. Be the next FDR. And, of course, he may get to some of the records that FDR set over 4 terms, but it's going to be things like inflation and debt and utter catastrophe.
Yes. Right. So let me give you this one. The Vice President, Kamala Harris, has announced the launch of a task force to address online harassment and abuse. Harris praised the task force in her remarks as a means for societal progress. We need the Claxton air horn for this one. Whenever you hear societal progress, you should look out. No one should have to endure abuse just because they're attempting to participate in society. Oh my gosh, I don't think I can take that. I don't think I can remain silent on that because, boy, wouldn't I love to show you the abuse I've taken just so I can participate in society. A memo on the task force released by the White House condemned gendered disinformation and proclaimed the administration will be developing programs and policies to address online harassment, abuse, and disinformation campaigns targeting women and LGBTQI+. They are going to stop the harassment, the abuse, and the disinformation on those who are public and political figures, government and civic leaders, activists, and journalists in the United States and globally. I think, now I could be wrong, Stu, but I think that rings the big warning bell on the First Amendment. This is government now, curtailing speech.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. And, I understand they have to give Kamala something to do other than just utter nonsensical gibberish in a speech here and there, because that's been pretty much her role so far. No. I know she was supposed to solve the border. No. She was supposed to solve, I think, Ukraine for a while. Now they've got her on speech. But I don't know. To me, when you start doing stuff like this, you really do walk that line of a First Amendment violation. And I will not be surprised if there's any teeth to it at all, that places like Texas will start suing over it.
I got to tell you, I'm so sick of your misinformation and disinformation on Kamala Harris. Here she is. This is brilliant. This is from the speech where she was talking about the internet. And I think we all can learn from this. Listen.
Well, the internet is an essential part of life in the 21st century. Can't get around it. Can't get around without it.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Such brilliance.
Oh, God. We did.
Spills right out of her.
Yeah, we did.
Spills, she can't keep it inside. How honest you always were. You were really looking for information. You weren't trying to prove anything. You just wanted to know what the truth was. And how different our understanding of the news was because you lived in your world.
Yes.
And I lived in my world. And I remember putting things up on the chalkboard and you said none of those things happen.
None of those things I knew about.
Yeah.
Not
and they
at
were
all.
Big stories to conservatives. It was weird.
Never. And it used to be the strangest thing when I would come here and visit you that I'd get on the plane and leave the LA feeds and arrive here, completely different news, completely different stories.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is insane. They're two different worlds.
So you've been trying to bridge the gap for a long time, and we talked about shows where you could actually talk. Things have only gotten worse.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that was the big problem, was the screen world. And I call it the screen world. All the edits that magically appear for us on our phone is the screen world, is not the real world. It's a very particular point of view and very highly edited. And so to me, for 7 years, it's what is the truth? And every time I would bring people together, 7 people, 10 people, 50 people in Alaska or Dallas or New York, they were never the cliches that I was led to believe. And I constantly was wondering, how do they connect? And why wouldn't they connect? And really, it came down to the power of the screen world is now the way we see the world. Not people can be standing in front of us and we cannot see them or their humanity because we see them through the edits that we think we know about them.
It is really terrifying because that's, we were talking off the air. Children's suicide and depression is off the charts.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And I think it's because of this. There's nothing real. You don't really know people. There's no and COVID only made it worse. No real connections going on.
And that's the thing. It's so funny. Everyone seems to be lacking true, authentic connection. And the thing that I realized over 7 years is that true connection is not remotely information-based, even if we're all living in an information age, that the words we exchange are 7% of communication. It's the body language, it's the tone, it's all of those things that create humanity. None of those you get from a screen. You just get the words, which is why sequentially posting at each other gets us absolutely nowhere fast. And so I kept trying to think, what is a way to do this, to hard reset actually physical people in a room so that they can see each other and not see the edits that they think they know about each other? And that took 7 years of testing and testing and testing.
So how are you going to do this?
So it's called Connect Effect. And what it is, it's an in-person, it's an entertainment experience. And it's designed that way because I reached out to a policy institute and they said, everything we're doing about bridging and facilitated conversations not working. People just show up with more information and they just keep exchanging it and no one actually listens and no one actually learns or is impacted. So it was, how can I get people in a physical room, and we do 50 to 100 people at a time, to really see each other, the people in the room, the real world, and not the screen world, not seeing each other through the screen world. And it's a hard reset of their humanity.
So how do you do that? Because I would think that you would, depending on where you are, you would have a lot of conservatives show up and some very timid liberals, or a lot of liberals show up and some very timid conservatives, and you would fight an agenda.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So how are you getting that?
The thinking is, the actual Connect Effect, what it is that when you connect with someone in a meaningful in-person way, in person, human to human, you'll talk openly and honestly. It's how we met. When we sat down opposite each other in 2016, and I came with my information, we just looked at each other and we're like, oh, you're just a human being who wants to know.
Yeah.
Once you have that connection, you'll talk openly and honestly. When you talk openly and honestly, you will understand. And that understanding deepens the connection. That's the Connect Effect.
Right.
Now people are talking without the connection, and it's just this exchanging of information. So they don't talk first. They sit back, and from the moment the doors open, there's music, there's images on the screen, two sides of stories that people have never seen, whether it's edits they've seen in the news. Oh yeah, that's what CNN ran, that's what Fox, side by side. And it constantly says, which edit do you see? Which edit do you not see? And we're constantly running through history. Here's an edit you do know, an edit. So before we even start the program, they're seeing they're only seeing one edit.
And so I would imagine it's very important to let the audience know that you're not trying to change them politically.
Not at all.
You're just trying to say, you don't know the whole story.
You don't know the whole story.
Sides.
And the whole story doesn't necessarily even matter when you are trying to fix things in your world. You and I did a podcast special a while ago where we brought 7 Americans together to talk about guns. And
it was so great.
And they just spiraled and spiraled until the NRA firearms instructor and the Moms Demand Action woman spent time together, made a joke, and suddenly all the defenses were gone because they had connected.
Yeah.
And then they talked openly, they understood, and they realized that we're 90% there.
Yeah.
But when they were all in a room, guarded with their information,
before we started, we were both concerned this could be a nightmare.
Absolutely.
And by the end, I think the Marxist professor was like, this was great.
Yeah, because they stop seeing each other through the screens. And the screens come at you all day, every day. And the way the screens work is for attention extraction, is what they call it at Google. That's all they're doing. And so whatever you like, they'll send you more of it. If you're angry about this, they'll send you more. Because the real facts are that anger makes money. The easiest shift to create in a human being is anger.
Yeah.
What travels faster than any virus? Fear. And so if the screens are constantly making you feel the world is burning constantly, then you are never going to be able to connect. But they make cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching more money the more you're watching. And so we hard reset the shared humanity of the people in the room. And it's very interesting because at some point they start realizing, wait, I was going to say that, but I only know that from a screen. And so we say to people, talk about what you know. Did you work on the... Great, tell us about that. If you didn't, it's your time to sit back and listen because you received a screen edit that was designed to make you upset and angry, to look at more, to look at more, to look at more, to look at more ads. And so I'm trying to get people, the amazing thing is when people meet in the real world, they're constantly engaging each other with what they know from the screen, which has little to no relevance to the person that they're talking to.
The first one is happening where? In Orange County?
In Orange County this Saturday, April 30th. I'm working with an organization called Civic Genius, and I really was relentless when I was finding a partner that they did not have a political affiliation. Because I cannot tell someone what the way they should think. I don't live their life. I haven't lived their lives thousands and thousands of days as them.
It's actually not I shouldn't say that. The problem is people who are trying to tell people what to think, not how to think, what to think. You will believe this. I don't care what side it's on. You believe this, and there's no compromise.
You must believe this, or you are bad.
Bad. That's what's killing us.
Yeah,
that's what's killing us.
And when you and I met years ago, I came in with this perception of what I thought you were, and when we sat, the humanity clicked in. And we were able to talk. And all I want, the whole point of this, is I just want people to stop fighting in their families and stop fighting in their communities. Because if you can't sit down with the people in your community to solve your problems, no one wins.
So what age group are you
This
doing?
is mostly 18 and over, but 18 to 80. It can be anyone.
And when you go... do you have to participate or can you just watch?
You can. So everyone sits and everything's designed, the way the seats are set up, the way the screen works. It's all highly, highly, highly produced. So everyone sits in this very large U. So there's no hiding in the back. But how people...
It's like an AA meeting.
It's like you can't go anywhere. You must stay. But not everyone speaks. And who speaks is random. It's actually done through a way inside their pouches. Some people have a chip and some people don't. And the people with blue chips have to stand up and then they have a conversation. It's a way, but before...
So you're not speaking you are speaking in front of the whole group, but you're not speaking and having interaction with the whole group.
No.
The whole group is kind of channeling it through different conversations between...
Correct. And a lot of them, we say it's one story told between two worlds. One is the real world, all of us in the room, and the other is all the media we have on the screen. And so the screen plays a large part in it with edits and media coming at the audience, showing them, well, what is true? Because if this is true on the screen, it can't be true in the real world. And we're constantly juxtaposing the two. And it really ends up being this mind-blowing hard reset.
So are you going to have video there? Okay. Can you return maybe and show me some video and give me the results of what this happened?
We can. We actually have two tests on the website, connecteffect.us, under testimonials.
Oh, okay.
One, we took women and we said, if women, once connected, could they solve each other's most deep, challenging question? So we took these total strangers, didn't know each other, connected them, and they're reading these unbelievable, vulnerable questions like, why am I single my whole life? Why do I draw men that would abuse me? And the audience helps them find the answer.
That's unbelievable.
It's incredible because all that happens is we have a problem, we go to an expert. We have a problem, we go to an expert. Diagnosed, medicated. Sometimes we just need opinions of other people and social buffering, and that doesn't exist anymore. So that was one test. The other was at a university because we had students at this university afraid of each other, not just physically, but ideologically.
Oh, yeah.
And so we thought, could we take students once connected after 60 minutes, would they be open to the other side's ideology? And you look at the video, they were. They saw the whole thing differently, and they realized that all these people in the real world in the room are not the enemies that they perceive coming through the edits.
So how do you get people to, are you just traveling the country? Are you asking for... places to host you?
We are. We're looking for organizations. We're looking for churches, synagogues, anywhere where people have stopped talking, which is pretty much everywhere.
Everywhere.
We're looking, and it's not just led by me. It's a system that's replicated and designed to be done by many people. The system is called EPIC. Forbes described it was a game changer a few years ago. It's a different way of approaching people that you have to engage through equalization. That's the E. If I don't look at you as an equal, what are the point are we talking about? Like, why am I talking to you if I don't think you're an equal? And then beyond that, the P is personalization. I don't care what you read because whatever you read, you've got stats, I've got stats. You've got articles, I've got articles. Now we go nowhere. What do you know? What have you experienced of racism? What have you experienced of suffering? That's what I need to know. But if you I kept bridging these conversations, and I had 7 people in the room and 480 opinions. And suddenly Nancy Pelosi was there and Mitch McConnell. And I'm like, why are they in the room? They're certainly not going to be helping you fix your problem in your school. And so it's personalization. Then information gathering. The thing I tell people is stop talking about what you know. We know what you know. Ask people, what do I not know?
That is, I think that is one of the real keys to, if people say, I can't talk to them, or I need to change their mind. If you're approaching the conversation that way, you are saying to yourself, they don't have anything of value to teach me.
Yes.
And when you both exchange that, just the basic thing, and I don't mean stats, I mean you as a person.
Yes.
How did you get there? As soon as you get there, things change.
I always ask people, why are we not cyclopses? Why do we have 2 eyes that do the exact same thing, not even an inch and a half apart? Because that's the only way to see depth and perspective. So I tell people, look at the world with your view. You need the other view to see the world in more than 2 dimensions. You have to know what you don't know. Constantly, I would come to the Blaze and you and I would sit down, whether we were traveling on a project, and I would learn so much about the world that I never knew, and vice versa.
Likewise.
And it was the only way that I saw things with depth. It was no longer a 2-dimensional edit. In the screen world, it was 3-dimensional in the real world.
I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Yeah, we got to wrap up. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. The scripture, there must be opposition in all things.
All of it must be.
We don't want to argue and you've got to agree to one side. No, there must be opposition in all things.
For solutions, yes.
Yes, and to see depth.
Yes.
So